Hello everyone, my name is Curtis. I work with the Toronto Artificial Intelligence and Cybersecurity Organization. Uh, and today what I'd like to talk to you about is a project we're working on called Baish. But first, maybe a little bit about Toronto Artificial Intelligence and Cybersecurity Organization, aka TAICO. If you go to taico.ca, you'll find our website where you can kind of see what we're up to. But really, it's a meetup. We meet once a month or so to talk about cybersecurity, talk about artificial intelligence and where the two of them combine. You can see that we've had a few meetings over the last few months. We also publish articles and blog posts. And part of the idea too is to actually build things, right? So Canada, is a country of builders. Toronto is a hotbed of high-tech innovation, right? So, it's not just what can we do and what's happening and what are the new tools, but can we build something, right? Whether that's maybe a company or a piece of software or an open source project or a blog post, it could be anything, right? But today I would like to talk to you about a project that we're working on, or sorry, if I go to our GitHub page, a project called Baish. And what Baish is a Bash AI shield, right? And so it's a tool that uses large language models and other heuristics to analyze shell scripts before they're executed, which sounds pretty complicated, but it's really this whole idea of the curl bash pattern, right? Like, so sometimes we see in order to get software installed, what we do is we curl a script from a website, pipe it to bash, and then that script will go and install whatever software we want to use, right? And there's some it's a very convenient thing to do, but there can be some concerns in doing it. And so the idea with Baish would be that you could curl that potentially unsafe script, run it through Baish, and then Baish will decide whether or not it's safe enough to run through Bash, right? So you could kind of use it as a way to determine whether or not this script that you're running is relatively safe and secure. And what I want to do today is not completely talk about Baish, but just really go quickly over the install. So the first thing you can see here is that you need libmagic. And then also today, the way that we're going to install it is with a tool called Pipx, right? So let's sort of just get on with doing that. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab this command to just install libmagic and Pipx, right? So we're just going to go and install those. What I've got here is just a plain old Linux virtual machine running Ubuntu 2404. And so now if I look for Pipx, we can see that I've got Pipx, right? And now that that's installed, all I have to do to get Baish is go Pipx install Baish. And then Pipx is going to go and grab our program from the PyPy repository, very similar to how you would install with pip, except that Pipx is going to put this application in its own virtual environment, right? Maybe while it's installing that, I can talk a little bit about some of the caveats with Baish. So you can see here's an example of the output. Like, we'll go through and run it really quickly. Here's an example output of running an install script through Baish. But it's not foolproof, right? Like, this is a beta project. It's also using LLMs, and different LLMs are going to give you different results, right? It's in heavy development, alpha, beta software, whatever you want to call it. And then we've had some problems with local LLMs, still some work to do there, but around some of the small context windows, right? So if I hop back over here, we should see that, yeah, so that was nice and easy, right? So we've got Baish installed. We've got version 0.20a as an alpha, right? And what Pipx does is it wants this to be on your local path. So you can do Pipx ensure path to make sure that happens, but then now you also have to log in and log out again. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to set my path equal to, and I'm going to include the local bin. So which Baish should now appear. Got a little extra slash in there, but that's okay. But now if I run Baish, it's going to run, but it's going to tell us that we have no config file. So what we're going to do is make the directory home Baish, and then I'm going to edit the config file, and then I'm just going to hop back over to our installation instructions, and I'm going to grab this configuration, insert that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Anthropic. We're going to use their Haiku latest model. We've given it a nice name called Haiku, and we're saying this is our default LLM. So if I run Baish again, it should say that it shouldn't give us an error about config file. Just no input is provided, right? And then next thing I'm going to do is use an example script that we have, and I'm going to run that through Baish. So I'm going to curl this secret upload file through Baish, right? And what it should do is go up, analyze the file, determine what kind of file it is, send it up to Anthropic, and then we'll get results, right? So we can see that we've got a harm score here, a complexity score. Don't want to get into those too much today, but there's also a nice little explanation which says, this file is attempting to exfiltrate sensitive data, right? And I can show you what that file looks like too here. If I go to tests, fixtures, secret upload, we can see that this is a real malicious program, right? Like what it's doing is we're just pretending that somebody is trying to upload a file called secret, right, to a website that doesn't exist, right? And so that was a real quick look at how to install Baish using Pipx. Makes it really easy. We ran it through Anthropic. I should also mention that I've got my Anthropic key set up, right? So you also need to have your key set up, but Pipx, add your key, make a config file, and then you're off and running. So thanks a lot. Check out the TAICO website if you want to learn more, or go to the Baish GitHub repository, which is github.com/taico.ca/Baish. Thanks a lot.